Let it be a dance.
Sorry, we're having a brief technical difficulty and we'll sort it out soon.
Good morning, and welcome to the Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm the Reverend Tiffany Sapp, and I'm so glad we can connect during this time through the power of technology. Please be aware that the service is being live streamed and recorded, and that you can find subtitles in one of your menu options at the bottom of the screen. We're still posting the services to YouTube, and you are welcome to join us that way, but you will miss being able to participate in the interactive joys and concerns. Today, we use metaphors from the cutlery drawer to explore ideas around disability and energy, mental health, and stress. I am sure that some of us here find ourselves among the 26% of Americans who have a disability, because that's 1 in 4 people. And I bet that some of us are among the 20% of Americans who have a mental illness, because that's 1 person in 5. And even if we don't find ourselves in either of these groups, life is stressful and exhausting sometimes, and especially during the last few years. I believe that the metaphor of spoons, forks, and sporks can give us a new way to communicate with each other about our capacities for energy and our ways of dealing with stress.
Hi, I'm Spencer Conco, and I'm happy to be with you today as your service leader. Even though we aren't in person, we are together because we're part of a community that is bigger than the limits of geography. If you have a chalice or candle with you that you'd like to light with me, please join me now. To what have we promised ourselves, to this moment in time and place, to this community, and ever tenderly interconnected this planet? We promise ourselves to the idea that we are each and all human beings. We promise that there is something moving between us that we cannot tame and cannot measure. This chalice is a reminder that what flame we keep inside us cannot light the way. The light must spill to shine. We are each of us human beings interconnected on a journey. Our story for all ages is about 3 girls who are playing video games, but are also on a journey. Along the way, what will they learn about supporting each other and providing places for rest and understanding? The story is Cosmos of Conflict, and it's an original story by Reverend Tiffany.
This is a story about 3 gamer girls. Jean.
Hi, I'm Jean, and I like to play magic users in my games. It's fun to support my team with magic, and it's even more fun to shoot fireballs at my enemies.
And Bonnie.
I'm Bonnie, and I love to be a melee player. I take all my frustrations in life out in the game.
And Sally.
I'm Sally, and I love playing balanced characters. I don't have as much magic as Jean, and I don't have as much strength or hit points as Bonnie, but I like having all the options.
And these 3 gamers would always play together with whatever new multiplayer online role-playing game was coming out.
Sally, Bonnie, Cosmos of Conflict is finally going to be out tomorrow. Are you in?
Oh yeah, you know it.
Heck yeah, I'm ready to crack some skulls.
Bonnie, I never would have thought you were a band nerd in real life.
Hey, I've got to put my rage somewhere.
And so they logged in, built their characters, geared up at their starting village, and made their way out into the world to level up. It wasn't long before they encountered their first mob.
Are those ninja bunny rabbits?
Yikes, they are fast.
Jean cast the support spells that she had and stood back while Sally and Bonnie entered into close combat. It was a really difficult battle, and when it was done, Bonnie was very low on hit points.
That was a really tough mob. Jean, why didn't you help us more?
I did what I could to support you with magic. I just don't have the hit points to fight up close like that. One blow would have knocked me out.
Bonnie grunted, recognizing that what Jean was saying was true, but still not happy about taking so many hits herself.
Y'all, I know that was only one fight, but I think we need to go back to the village to rest up and heal.
And so, after resting at the inn and getting some healing potions, they headed back out.
All right, it's round 2. Let's do this.
I see something coming. What is it this time?
They're called hungry ghosts, and it looks like my physical attacks aren't doing any good.
Okay, I've just got a very basic magical attack. I'll give it a try.
It took a long time for Jean to whittle them down, but the enemies were finally defeated.
That was hard. I wish I hadn't had to do it all by myself.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't gotten any good spells yet.
I'm all out of magic points.
Let's keep going. It's been too long since I've destroyed anything.
We need to go back to the village and rest up first. If we encounter more ghosts now, we'd be in big trouble with Jean being out of magic points.
Look, that's Jean's problem. I'm tired of being held back. I'm gonna go solo. I'll meet up with you all after you've had your rest.
And without any other conversation, Bonnie was gone.
Hey, Jean, are you okay?
Yeah, I guess. I just feel bad, like Bonnie leaving was my fault.
Look, we've all got different builds, and they're all good builds. Some of us use our energy to take hits. Some of us use our energy to do spells. We couldn't have made it through that last fight without you. Let's go get some rest. I bet you'll feel better after we do.
A little later, as they were leaving the inn fully rested, Bonnie met them at the door.
Hey, Bonnie.
Hey, Jean, I owe you an apology. I met more ghosts when I was out, and they were awful. Without your help, I couldn't do anything against them, and I had to run away. You were patient with me, and I should have been patient with you. We all have to recharge, don't we?
Thanks, Bonnie. I appreciate that. I'm all recharged now. You want to go kick some monster booty?
Absolutely.
I think we might be ready to tackle the Temple of Mediocrity. What do y'all say?
There's no rush. Let's level up and build our strength first.
Really, Bonnie? Okay, sure. Let's go get us some levels.
The end.
It's interesting to me to think about the different ways that we all exist in this world. Regardless of our strengths and our weaknesses, we need to rest and recharge. I wonder, how is your energy today? And how do you recharge? Our musical offering for the day invites us to a place of rest, here and now, with each other. This is a collaboration between Unitarian Universalist minister Christopher Watkins Lamb and Unitarian Universalist minister Gretchen Haley. This combination of music and meditation invites us to set all of our battles down, be held by love, and just breathe.
Give up the fight. for some other moment, some other life than here and now.
I'm just gonna breathe.
Give up the longing for some other world, the wishing for other choices to make.
Other songs to sing, other bodies, other ages,
other countries, other stakes.
Till I touch the sorrow neath the rage. I'm just gonna breathe.
Purge the past. Forgive the future. For each comes too soon.
Surrender only to this life, this one, this moment here and now.
Surrender only to this day, this hour, this breath.
Not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it too beckons with beauty,
startles with delight. If only we can keep waking up to this gift. This is the gift we have been given.
These body clothes.
This heartbreak, it's ours. This pulse, it's ours.
This breath. This light. These friends.
This hope. All we can do is remember ourselves here.
I'm just gonna breathe.
All a part of it all. Still growing together.
I'm just gonna breathe. Until I'm glad to breathe here for a while. We'll give up the thought for some other love. Just hope in the way that you are living. We'll give up the thought for some other love. It's changing, no longer resisting. Come on and breathe, breathe, breathe. Come on and breathe, breathe, breathe. It's gonna breathe, breathe, breathe. Come on and breathe, breathe, breathe. Give up the fight, breathe, breathe. For some other life, breathe, breathe. Give up the fight, breathe, breathe. For some other life, breathe, breathe. I'm just gonna breathe.
Since we've moved to Zoom, this time of sharing our joys and concerns has become one of my favorite parts of the service, because I want to know what's going on in the lives of our community. Whether it's joyful or concerning, whether it's monumental or mundane, we want to hear from you. If you're with us in Zoom, type your joys and concerns in the chat box. I might end up reading some of what you type out loud, so please only share what you're comfortable with everyone knowing. If you're on YouTube, I'm not going to be able to see what you write in the YouTube chat. While you share your joys and concerns and your moments of awe in the chat, I'm going to light a candle for all of those who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, which is all of us, and some of us definitely more than others. As of this morning, 5,166,304 people have died worldwide from COVID-19. We witness this tragedy and we hope for a better future, committing ourselves to doing what we can to end this. Today, I come to our community with a heart that is heavy and full. It is an awesome and awful state of being that we can hold so much emotion in our hearts at one time. We feel rage at the way white supremacy shakes its own hand with a wink and a not guilty verdict. We feel grief over the loss of Black lives, the loss of transgender lives, and the loss of allies shot in the streets. We feel fear over the state of our planet. We feel indignation over the firing of a local teacher for teaching the truth about our history and the current state of our world. We feel frustration that COVID cases are once again on the rise. And we feel determination to do what we can, knowing liberation must be found in the work itself when results are never guaranteed, hope in action. We feel hope beyond reason that this work will change us, even if we don't change the world, and that if enough of us change, it can turn the tide. We feel longing for renewal, for rest, for community. We might even be surprised when we feel joy. Joy for the blessings of life that refresh our spirits, milestones, births, recognitions, 13 kids and 10 adults painting ornaments, playing and laughing at the Eastman Rec area yesterday. We feel love for our people everywhere, doing our imperfect, compassionate and passionate community building together. We feel grace to keep on breathing, to keep leaning on each other, to keep taking turns, to surrender to that which holds us when it is our time to rest. And sometimes we even feel peace in those simple moments when we stop fighting our feelings and just allow our hearts to hold it all. Beloved community, I don't know what to do with all of these feelings, but I do know this. Our rage and our grief are sacred. Our love and our joy and our hope are sacred, sacred and human, and we're going to need all of it if we're going to make it through together. We are grateful that we got to help an immigrant friend get vaccinated. We're grateful to think that that one act could be a ripple effect that saves many lives. We grieve for the passing away of a father. We take joy and delight in friends who read and talk deeply together. We take joy in seeing someone in person that we hadn't seen in over a year. And we put out a word of hope for a new baby's safe arrival in late December. We breathe in and we breathe out, breathing with gratitude, breathing in the support that is there for us, holding all of this and whatever remains unspoken in our hearts, we center our practice on loving kindness.
May we
Our reading is one of Reverend Tiffany's favorite poems, written by Reverend Teresa Soto, whose meditations on hope and resilience are informed by her experiences with disability, other marginalized identities, and her deep love for her spiritual communities. You can find this poem and many others, including our chalice lighting, in her collection titled Spilling the Light. This is Broken Hallelujah. Bring your broken hallelujah here. Bring the large one that is beyond repair. Bring the small one that's too soft to share. Bring your broken hallelujah here. I know that people have told you that before you can give, you have to get yourself together. They have overstated the value of perfection by a lot, or they forgot. You are the gift. We all bring some broken things, songs and dreams and long lost hopes. But here, together, we reach within. As a community, we begin again. And from the pieces, we will build something new. There is work that only you can do. We wait for you.
I know that people have told you that before you can give, you have to get yourself together. They have overstated the value of perfection by a lot, or they forgot. You are the gift. You are the gift. Our Unitarian Universalist values state, first and foremost, principle number one, that we all have inherent worth and dignity. Every one of us. No matter how cooperative our bodies are, no matter how cooperative our minds are, no matter how cooperative our emotions or our energy are, we are, each of us, the gift. Every one of us, no matter what. This is the message of our faith. But there are messages outside of this experimental beloved community that tries to tell us otherwise. They tie our worth to our productivity. They tie our dignity to our ability to look and act like everyone else. And so our message of inherent worth and dignity is radical and world-changing. We all struggle against the burdens of productivity culture in our own way, but some of us have it harder than others. According to the CDC, 26% of Americans have a disability and 20% of Americans have an invisible disability. An invisible disability is one that is not immediately obvious to the beholder, but nonetheless limits a person's movements or activities. And the limitations and challenges are often experienced because our society has not been built to accommodate people's varying needs. Christine Miserandino has lupus. Lupus is a chronic illness that is really only an invisible disability if you're not paying attention. If you are paying attention, you see subtle signs of the additional challenges, and it's not invisible at all. And the lack of energy that comes with many chronic illnesses is one of the clues. When one of her friends asked her what it was like to live with lupus, spoon theory was born. Sitting at a diner, she grabbed a bunch of spoons and handed them to her friend. And she said, "This is all the energy you have to do the things you need to do and to do the things that you want to do in any given day. You never know how many spoons you're going to start with either, because the chronic illness means that your energy fluctuates." Morning routines that we take for granted can cost someone with chronic illness almost half of their spoons. A shower costs a spoon, so does breakfast, so does getting dressed. Moving throughout the theoretical day, Christine's friend learned that standing for work rather than getting to sit costs additional spoons. Skipping lunch costs a spoon, but so can procuring lunch if it's not easy and accessible. Christine shared with her friend how she would always try to keep one spoon in reserve, even if it meant she couldn't go out with a friend or get the laundry done, because you never knew when an unexpected life circumstance would take your last spoon. No doubt, educating someone about your spoons also costs spoons. What must it be like doing the best you can and someone questions your worth because they see you as less productive? This is why our second principle calls us to build upon the first with justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We never know what someone else is going through. We never know if they started their day with way less spoons than us. I do not have a disability that limits my spoons, though I am very aware that that could change at any time. But right now, unless I've come down with a cold, I don't have to do the math that will make me choose between taking a shower, getting my kid ready for school, and writing my sermon. And yet, even with the privilege of my health and age, there are definitely times when I have less energy than I have tasks to accomplish. And in those times, I do find the spoon metaphor helpful for me. Even as I acknowledge that I am not part of a community that developed the metaphor for their unique needs and can never understand the full burden of daily rationing your spoons. There's another concept that plays a little closer to home to me and the metaphorical cutlery drawer, and that is the metaphor of forks. Fork theory comes from a Tumblr blog called Jen Rose about anxiety and neurodivergence. And here's an excerpt from her blog. You know the phrase, stick a fork in me and I'm done, right? Well, fork theory is that one has a fork limit. That is, you can probably cope with one fork, one stressor stuck in you, maybe two or three. But at some point, you will lose your stuff if one more fork happens. A fork can range from being hungry to having to pee, to getting a new bill or a new diagnosis of an illness. There are lots of different sizes of forks, and volume versus quantity means that fork limit is not absolute. I might be able to deal with 20 tiny little escargot fork annoyances, such as a hangnail or slightly suboptimal pants, but not even one you poked my trigger on purpose because you think it's fun to see me melt down pitchforks. Fork theory then recognizes the vast amount of stressors we encounter in our lives, and at some point we may hit enough stressors that we experience doneness. During this time especially, I have seen how differently each human being relates to stress. The doneness looks different for each of us. And so I made a little list. I wonder if you can recognize your stress reactions in this list, because I certainly see mine here. Some of us are rescuers who respond to stress by overfunctioning and fixing and trying to control others for their own good, of course. Some of us are deniers. We insist that everything is just fine and that there's not really a problem. Some of us isolate and shut down. Some of us turn to addictive behaviors, trying to numb the pain. Some of us respond in anger, taking the forks stuck in us and poking someone else with them. And when I say that we all have our own reactions, I do mean all of us. None of us are immune to stress. But some of us have cultivated relationships with our stressors and our stress reactions. We have developed the sort of self-awareness expressed by fork theory. If we learn to identify the ways that we tend to react in stressful situations, then we can see what's happening, and we can practice some self-regulation, like deep breathing, going on a walk, or talking with a trusted friend. Some stressors, like a pandemic, we cannot remove, but that's all the more reason to see what other forks are poking us that we can remove. We can do our part as a community by coming to each other with kindness and compassion, and approaching each other with sensitivity to each other's spoons as well. So here's one more metaphor from the cutlery drawer today, a spork. Do you know what a spork is? I mostly associate them with fast food. It's those little spoon fork hybrids. It's a spoon with little stabby bits at the end. If spoons are the limited energy we have on any given day, and if forks are the stressors that sometimes push a reaction out of us, then sporks are the extra burst of energy that particular kinds of stressors give some of us based on a variety of factors. This is easier to show than tell. So here's a story that illustrates what a spork is from one of my favorite Facebook pages, Tales of a Kitchen Witch. She tells a story about how she discovered that her neighbor's dog had killed one of her chickens, and how her anger overrode her physical and mental disabilities that she lives with. She said, "You better believe that my barely mobile, anxiety-ridden self marched over there so fast that Cooper couldn't keep up. I did not yell, but I was very firm. I firmly told them that this was unacceptable and asked what their plan was to fix it. I firmly told them that they should have made their fence safe after the first chicken. They apologized and said it would not happen again, and the dog won't be outside unsupervised. I agreed and marched home and collapsed into my bed. My anxiety has an override, and that is the twin flames of righteous indignation and protecting others." And that is a spork, the twin flame of righteous indignation and protecting others that overrides our other struggles. We saw this happening on a collective level during what NPR called the Summer of Racial Reckoning. It was a time of collective low energy as people were staying home and isolated during the first summer of the pandemic. And then Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor were killed under unjust and racist circumstances. And many, many people found their sporks. I think some of us are feeling a little sporky today as we're sitting with Friday's not guilty verdict for a young man that crossed state lines with an assault rifle to roam the streets of civil unrest, killing 2 and paralyzing 1. What should we do with this spork? I do not have the answer to that yet, but I hope that we can figure it out together as a community. There is nothing wrong with our anger. The energy of righteous anger is like no other, and it can change the world. It might be one of the only things that can. And yet, it does come at a cost. A spork often borrows from tomorrow's spoons, and it's still a fork in your back. So even as it is sometimes necessary, it does not excuse us from our need to rest. Sporks remind us that we must double down on our rest when we can, after we've experienced that righteous energy surge. Social activist and educator Zon West spoke to a bunch of us Unitarian Universalist ministers 2 weeks ago, and she shared with us that our churches have a special role in this time of pandemic and social upheaval, and that is to create spaces where people can grieve and rest and heal. Space to grieve can take a fork of unexpressed loss out of our back. Space to rest can sometimes give us back a spoon, or at the very least, it won't take another spoon away. And it's especially vital to be a space for rest and renewal for those of us who are wielding world-changing sporks, because that work can burn you out. It is my hope that we are building spaces where we can find rest when we need it, that we don't judge each other by our spoons, and we don't respond to our own stress by pulling a fork out of our back and sticking it into someone else. If we succeed in building this kind of community, it will not be by accident, but by setting our intentions and living by our covenants. One of the ways that we build spaces of rest and renewal is by following our joy. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. I hope, especially in these heavy times, that you can come on our journey of joy and laughter next week. And in the meantime, I hope we can embrace our full humanity with a heavy dose of self-compassion for our spoons, our forks, sporks, and all that we are. May it be so.
Let's extinguish the chalice together. The thing you must be is yourself, unadulterated, shedding the willingness to journey alone as though we are made of something hard and unforgivable. You are human. You belong right here, right now, and together we will chase away the sickness, the secrets, and leave only the open possibility that the future is a space for growth. Thank you for being with us today. Next week, Reverend Tiffany will be in the pulpit again to build upon today's message as we explore practices of joy that recharge us and renew us. We hope you can join us again then. If you missed out on our annual auction, there is good news. We are reopening several items that did not sell out during the initial auction. So they're available for a set buy it now price, and will be available until Wednesday, November 24th at 8 p.m. So just go to the website under news for a link. If you've got kids, then it's time to register for December's religious education kits. You can get cozy with your family and unpack these lessons that come complete with fun activities and a way to talk about our Unitarian Universalist values. So you can see our website or the HVUUC Families Facebook group for information on how to register. And please, if you're able, get your COVID vaccine to keep us all safer. Thank you.
Before I offer our benediction, I have a personal request. When we meet online like this, sometimes it's harder for us to make our pledge payments. Not because we don't want to, but because we have to do the extra work of putting a check in the mail or setting up our bank's bill pay to do it. So this is your reminder. If it's been a while since you've sent a pledge payment, please go ahead and send one in. You'll see the mailing address during the closing announcement slides, or you can find it by going to our website on the donut page under the stewardship menu. If you want to know how much you've pledged and how much you've given so far this year, please email treasurer@hvuuc.org. And if all that went over your head and you really want to give us a pledge, just send me an email and I'll point you in the right direction. We really appreciate your help with this. Here's our benediction. May we be blessed with more spoons than we need and the wisdom to know when to stop and rest before we run out. May we be blessed with less forks and the grace to say no to stressors when we can, and compassion for ourselves and others when we are done. May we be blessed with a minimal need to engage our sporks and the power to use them when doing so makes our beloved community a reality. And may we come to our relationships with an awareness that we all come to the party with a different amount of spoons and forks and sporks, even as we cook up something good together. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.
Heroes are seen in so many places. Heroes are seen in so many faces. If you look into their eyes, what will you see? Well, you might see you and me. Ordinary people do heroic deeds, not knowing the things they have done. Just keep on being the best you can be, and someday you will be one. Our heroes are seen in so many places. Heroes are seen in so many faces. If you look into their eyes, what do you see? Well, you might see you and me. Just be a friend to someone in trouble. Give a big hug to someone who's sad. Smile and know that everyone needs you. You're the best friend this world has ever had. Our heroes are seen in so many places. Heroes are seen in so many faces. If you look into their eyes, what will you see? Well, you might see you and me. Yes, you might see you